Captain Hyun-woo Kim stood in the dim blue light of the bridge. The UES Silent Thunder moved through space like a ghost. No lights showed on its black hull. No signals came from its engines. For 3 weeks, the ship had been invisible to every sensor in the galaxy. The bridge was quiet. The crew spoke in whispers. Even the computers made no sound. Hyun-woo watched the stars through the main screen. Somewhere ahead was the most dangerous place in known space, the capital world of the Valerian Empire. "Captain," said Navigator Sora Park. She kept her voice low. "We are now 12 hours from the outer defense ring." Hyun-woo nodded. The Valerian Empire had ruled the galaxy for 300 years. 12 alien races bowed to their power. Their capital world was protected by weapons that could destroy entire fleets. No enemy had ever come close to it. "Status of the cloak?" Hyun-woo asked. Chief Engineer Tae-min Lee checked his screens. "All systems green, sir. The light-bending field is stable. Sensor dampeners are working perfectly. We are invisible." The technology was new. Human scientists had worked for 20 years to build it. The cloak bent light around the ship. It also fooled every type of sensor the aliens used. But it had never been tested in real combat. Weapons Officer Ji-Hai Choi looked up from her station. "Sir, I am reading massive energy signatures ahead. The Valerian defense network is huge." Hyun-woo walked to her station. The screen showed dots of light scattered across space. Each dot was a weapons platform. Each one could kill a normal warship with one shot. "How many?" he asked. "Over 2,000 automated defense stations in the first ring alone," Ji-Hai said. "The second ring has even more, and the third ring around the capital world has weapons I cannot even identify." Intelligence Officer Min-ho Kang stepped forward. He carried a data pad with secret information. Human spies had worked for years to gather this data. "Captain, our agent on Nexus Prime has confirmed the patrol schedules. The guard rotations happen every 6 hours. We have a window of opportunity in 4 hours and 20 minutes. Hyun-woo studied the data. The Valerian Empire thought they were safe. They had never faced a real threat. Their enemies always attacked with big fleets and loud weapons. Humans did things differently. "What about the patrol ships?" Sora asked. Min-ho checked his pad. 300 Valerian cruisers patrol the outer system. Each one is twice the size of our ship. But they follow set patterns. Our agent has mapped their routes. The human ship was small compared to Valerian warships. It carried only 50 crew members. Its weapons were weak. Its armor was thin. But it had one thing the aliens did not expect. It could hide. Hyun-woo thought about the mission. 3 months ago, the Valerian Empire had sent a message to Earth. They demanded that all human colonies surrender. They gave humans 30 days to comply. If humans refused, the aliens would destroy every human world. The Human Colonial Federation had a different answer. Instead of surrender, they would send a message of their own. The Silent Thunder carried that message deep into enemy space. "Sir," said Communications Officer Ye-Jin Han, "I am receiving updates from our network agents. All stations report ready." Humans had been planning this mission for decades. They had placed spies throughout Valerian space. Some worked as traitors, others pretended to be refugees from destroyed worlds. A few even worked inside Valerian military bases. The most important agent lived on Nexus Prime itself. For 2 years she had studied the capital world's defenses. She knew every sensor station, every guard post, every weak point in their security. "Contact Agent Silver," Hyun-woo ordered. Agent Silver was the code name for their spy on the enemy. Capital. Yijin worked at her console. After a few minutes, she nodded. Connection established, sir. Agent Silver is ready. A woman's voice came through the speakers. She spoke perfect English, but with a slight accent. This is Da-un Shin. I am in position. Daeon had been living as a maintenance worker on Nexus Prime. She fixed computers and cleaned equipment in government buildings. The aliens never suspected that a human lived among them. Report status, Hyun-woo said. All defense grids are operating. Normally, Da-un replied. The Valerians are not expecting any trouble. Their confidence is complete. Grand Admiral Vexithor gave a speech yesterday. He called humans weak mammals who would never dare challenge the Empire. Hyun-woo smiled grimly. The aliens would learn how wrong they were. I have uploaded the final defense patterns to your ship, Da-yun continued. The window will open in exactly 4 hours and 18 minutes. You will have 12 minutes to reach orbital distance before the next sensor sweep. 12 minutes. It seemed impossible. The Silent Thunder would have to travel through 3 rings of defenses. Each ring could detect and destroy the ship if something went wrong. Understood, Hyun-woo said. Stay safe, Agent Silver. We will see you soon. The connection ended. The bridge fell silent again. Everyone knew how dangerous the next few hours would be. Tae-min checked his engines. Sir, the stealth drive is ready. We can maintain maximum speed without breaking cloak. Sora studied her navigation charts. I have plotted 17 different courses through the defense network. Each one uses asteroid fields and space debris to mask our approach. Ji-Hai tested her weapon systems. The Silent Thunder was not built for fighting. Its job was to deliver a message, not destroy enemies. But if they were discovered, the crew would fight to the end. Hyun-woo walked around the bridge. He looked at each crew member. These were the best humans had to offer. Each had volunteered for a mission that would probably kill them all. Listen, carefully, he said. In 4 hours, we will attempt something that has never been done before. We will penetrate the most protected space in the galaxy. If we succeed, the balance of power will shift forever. If we fail, no one will ever know we tried. The crew listened without speaking. The Valerians think they are masters of the galaxy, Hyun-woo continued. They believe humans are too weak and too stupid to threaten them. Today we prove them wrong. He paused and looked at each face. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We do not have the biggest weapons. But we have something they do not understand. We never give up. We find a way when there is no way. Today, we show the galaxy what humans can do. The crew nodded. Fear and determination mixed in their eyes. Stations, everyone, Hyun-woo ordered. Begin final approach to the Valerian defense network. The Silent Thunder moved deeper into enemy space. Ahead lay the greatest challenge in human history. Behind lay a species that refused to surrender. The hunt had begun. Grand Admiral Vexithor stood 12 feet tall. His green scales caught the light from the crystal windows of the command center. Below him stretched the greatest city in the galaxy. Nexus Prime was home to 50 billion beings from 12 different worlds. The command center sat at the top of the tallest tower on the planet. From here, Vexithor controlled the military might of an empire that spanned 200 worlds. No enemy had ever threatened this place. No enemy ever would. Admiral, said Communications Officer Zilrak. The small, blue-skinned alien worked at a station covered with blinking lights. Morning patrol reports are coming in. All sectors report normal activity. Vexithor nodded. The same report came in every day. Nothing ever changed in Valerian space. The Empire was too strong. Their enemies were too weak. Defense Coordinator Morgeth approached the Admiral. The tall, gray alien carried data tablets in 4 arms. "Sir, the outer defense rings report full operational status. 2,000 automated platforms are online. Sensor coverage is complete." "And the patrol fleets?" Vexthor asked. 300 cruisers patrol the system boundaries. Each ship carries enough firepower to destroy a small moon. Captain Torvek reports that his crews are bored. They have seen no hostile activity for 6 months. Vexthor laughed. The sound echoed through the command center like distant thunder. Other officers looked up from their stations and smiled. The Admiral's good mood meant a peaceful day for everyone. "Of course they are bored," Vexthor said. "Who would dare attack us? The Korthak Rebellion was crushed 50 years ago. The Zenith Commonwealth surrendered without a fight. Even the warrior clans of Drakmor bow before our power." Morgeth shuffled through his data tablets. "What about the humans, sir? Intelligence reports say they refused our ultimatum." Vexthor's expression changed. His yellow eyes narrowed with contempt. Humans. Primitive mammals who barely learned to travel between stars. They have existed for less than 200 years in space. We have ruled the galaxy for over 3 centuries. He walked to a large display screen that showed the known galaxy. Thousands of star systems glowed with different colors. Green stars belonged to the Valerian Empire. There were so many green lights that other colors almost disappeared. "Look. At this," Vexthor pointed to a small cluster of blue dots. "The humans control perhaps 30 worlds. We rule 200. They have maybe 50 warships. We command over 10,000. Other officers gathered around the display. They all nodded and agreed with their admiral. The comparison was obvious. Humans pose no real threat. "But, sir," said Intelligence Officer Kextal, she was one of the few who dared to question the Admiral. "Our spies report that human technology is advancing quickly. They have developed new engines, new weapons, new defensive systems." Vexthor waved a clawed hand. "Let them advance. A child with a sharp stick is still just a child. Humans lack the experience of war. They have never faced a real enemy. The few battles they fought were against pirates and rebels." He pointed to specific human worlds on the display. Earth, their home world, has no orbital defenses worth mentioning. Mars, their first colony, relies on outdated missile systems. Their outer colonies could be conquered by a single battle group. Captain Warthek, commander of the Palace Guard, spoke up. "Admiral, should we not prepare for some kind of human response? Even weak enemies can be dangerous when desperate." Vexthor turned to face the captain. His scales seemed to darken with annoyance. "Prepare for what? Humans have no way to reach our core worlds. Their longest supply lines barely extend 50 light-years from Earth. Nexus Prime is over 300 light-years away from human space." The Admiral walked back to the main command console. "Even if they could somehow reach our territory, they would face the strongest defenses in galactic history. Look around you." He gestured toward the massive display screens that covered the walls. Each screen showed a different part of the Nexus Prime defense network. Weapons platforms filled space like deadly stars. Patrol ships moved in perfect formations. Sensor stations watched every approach route. 3 rings of automated defenses, Vexthor said with pride. "The first ring can destroy any fleet the humans could possibly assemble. The second ring could handle 10 human fleets. The third ring has never been tested, because no enemy has ever gotten close enough." The officers murmured their agreement. The defenses were truly impressive. Any ship that tried to approach Nexus Prime would be detected long before it could pose a threat. Communications Officer Zilrak received a message. Sir, High Command wants to know if we should increase patrols near the human border. Vexthor laughed again. Tell High Command that we will increase patrols when humans learn to build proper warships. Their largest vessel is smaller than our escort ships. Meanwhile, in the lower levels of the command tower, Da-Un Shin worked quietly in a maintenance room. She wore the gray uniform of a technical worker. Her job was to clean and repair the electronic systems that kept the command center running. Thabai, Valerians paid no attention to her. To them, she was just another member of a servant species. The Empire had conquered many worlds and enslaved many peoples. One more worker meant nothing to them. But Da-Un was not what she appeared to be. She was a human intelligence agent. For 2 years, she had lived on Nexus Prime and studied every detail of the planet's defenses. She knew the rotation schedules of every guard unit. She had memorized the sensor patterns of every defense station. She understood the communication codes used by the military command. Most importantly, she had found the weaknesses that the Valerians did not know existed. While the aliens celebrated their strength, Da-Un quietly uploaded data to a hidden transmitter. The information traveled through space toward the edge of the system. In a few hours, it would reach a small human ship that was approaching through the darkness. Maintenance Worker 4747 called Supervisor Kelmon. The green-skinned alien overseer looked down at Da-Un with 4 eyes. You will clean the communication. Arrays on level 85. Make sure all connections are secure. Yes, Supervisor, Da-Un replied in perfect Valerian. She had learned the language during her training on Earth. Her accent was so good that even native speakers thought she was a member of one of the Empire's client species. Da-Un took her tools and headed for the elevator. Level 85 was where the most sensitive communications equipment was housed. The Valerians trusted her to work there alone because she had proven herself reliable over 2 years of service. What they did not know was that Level 85 gave her access to the primary defense network. While she cleaned the equipment, she could monitor every sensor station in the system. As the elevator rose through the tower, Da-Un thought about her mission. She knew that a human ship was coming. She knew that it carried a message that would change everything. But she also knew how dangerous the mission was. The Valerians were not weak. Their confidence was built on 3 centuries of military success. Their defenses were real and deadly. Even with all her intelligence data, the approaching human ship faced almost impossible odds. But Da-Un had learned something during her time on Nexus Prime. The Valerians had one critical weakness. They could not imagine losing. Their success had made them blind to new threats and new possibilities. The elevator stopped at level 85. Da-Un stepped out and began her work. Above her, Grand Admiral Vexthor continued to boast about Valerian power. Around her, automated systems watched for enemies that the aliens believed could never come. In space, sensors swept the darkness and found nothing unusual. Defense platforms waited for targets that would never appear. Patrol ships followed routes that had not changed in decades. The Valerian Empire felt safe and strong. In a few hours, they would learn how wrong they were. But first, they would have a few more hours to enjoy their confidence. The first ring of defenses appeared on the Silent Thunder's screens like a wall of deadly stars. Each point of light was an automated weapons platform. Each platform could destroy a battleship with a single shot. Captain Hyun Woo studied the tactical display. Distance to the first ring? Navigator So-Ra Park checked her instruments. 40,000 kilometers and closing. We are now entering the outer detection zone. The bridge fell completely silent. Every crew member held their breath. The next few minutes would determine if the mission succeeded or if they all died in a burst of alien fire. "Cloak status?" Hyunwoo whispered. Chief Engineer Tae-min Lee watched his screens with intense focus. "All systems optimal. Light-bending field is stable at 98% efficiency. Sensor dampeners are operating normally. Heat signature is masked." The Silent Thunder moved through space like a shadow. Its special hull absorbed radar waves. Its engines produced no detectable emissions. Even its gravity field was hidden by advanced technology, but the ship was not completely invisible. If they got too close to a sensor station, or if the cloak failed for even a second, the entire Valerian defense network would open fire. "First platform approaching," Weapons Officer Ji-Hai Choi reported. "Distance 8,000 kilometers. It is scanning our projected path." Everyone watched the tactical display. A red cone of light swept through space ahead of them. The cone represented a sensor beam that could detect any normal ship within 50,000 kilometers. "Adjusting course," Sora said. Her hands moved carefully over the navigation controls. Moving to shadow zone behind the platform. The Silent Thunder changed direction slightly. The ship slipped behind the weapons platform like a fish swimming behind a rock. The sensor beam passed through empty space where the ship had been moments before. "Clear," Ji-Hai breathed. But they were only past the first platform. Hundreds more lay ahead. Intelligence Officer Min-Ho Kang consulted his data pad. "According to our agent, the platforms scan in a rotating pattern. Each platform covers a 60-degree arc every 30 seconds. We have narrow windows between the sweeps." Hyunwoo nodded. Human spies had spent years studying these defenses. Every sensor pattern, every scan cycle, every weak point had been mapped and recorded. "Next obstacle approaching," Sora announced. 3 platforms in triangular formation. They have overlapping sensor coverage. This was more dangerous. 3 platforms could cover all the space around them. There was no way to slip past undetected using normal tactics. "Solutions?" Hyunwoo asked. Stealth Systems Specialist Seong-ho Yoon spoke up. "Sir, I can increase cloak efficiency to 99.5% for a short time. It will drain our power reserves, but we can pass through the overlap zone undetected." "Do it." Sung-ho worked at his console. Deep in the ship's engine, rooms, power flowed to the cloaking system. The Silent Thunder seemed to fade even further into the darkness. They passed between the 3 platforms like a ghost. Sensor beams swept through their position and found nothing. The weapons platforms continued their endless patrol, unaware that an enemy ship had just slipped past. "Entering the debris field," Sora reported. The first ring of defenses was protected by a field of space debris. Broken asteroids, destroyed ships, and scattered metal created a maze that was difficult to navigate. Most ships avoided the debris field because it was so dangerous, but the debris also provided cover. The Silent Thunder was small enough to thread between the floating rocks and metal chunks. The debris would hide them from sensors and give them a clear path deeper into the system. "Careful with the navigation," Hyunwoo warned. "One collision could bring down the cloak." Sora guided the ship through the maze with expert skill. She had trained for this mission for 3 years. She knew exactly how much risk the ship could handle. A huge piece of metal drifted past the main screen. It was part of an ancient battleship that had been destroyed in some long-ago battle. The metal was twisted and burned, a reminder of what happened to ships that challenged Valerian power. "Second ring approaching," Ji-Hai announced. "Energy readings are much higher. These platforms have more powerful weapons and better sensors." The second ring was deadlier than the first. Each platform was twice as large and carried weapons that could punch through the armor of a heavy cruiser. Their sensors were more sensitive and harder to fool. Agent Silver is transmitting, Communications Officer Yejin Han reported. Updated patrol routes coming in now. Dayun's voice came through, the speakers in a whisper. Patrol Group 7 changed course 15 minutes ago. New route takes them through Sector 445. You need to adjust your approach. Hyun-woo studied the tactical display. Patrol Group 7 consisted of 5 Valerian cruisers. Each cruiser was 3 times the size of the Silent Thunder and carried enough firepower to level a city. Adjusting course to avoid patrol group, Sora said. The Silent Thunder changed direction again. They were now taking a longer route through the defenses, but it kept them away from the cruiser patrol. Minutes passed in tense silence. The ship moved carefully between weapons platforms and sensor stations. Each successful dodge brought them closer to their target, but also deeper into danger. Problem ahead, Sung-ho said urgently. The next platform has an unusual sensor array. I am not sure our cloak can fool it. Hyun-woo moved to Sung-ho's station. The display showed a weapons platform that was different from the others. Its Tsu sensor array was larger and more complex. Analysis? Hyun-woo asked. Minho checked his intelligence files. This is a new installation. It was not in our original briefing. The platform uses multi-spectrum scanning with quantum resonance detection. Taemin looked worried. Our cloak was not designed to handle quantum resonance scanners. They can detect gravitational distortions that we cannot hide. The crew looked at each other with concern. They had come too far to turn back now, but the new sensor system could detect them even through their advanced cloak. Options? Hyun-woo asked. We could try to go around, Sora suggested, but that would add 2 hours to our approach time. We would miss the window. We could attempt to jam the sensors, Ji-hai offered. But jamming would definitely reveal our presence. Hyun-woo thought quickly. The mission depended on reaching the capital world at exactly the right time. If they missed the window, the entire operation would fail. Agent Silver, he called. Dawen's voice came through the speakers. I am here, Captain. Can you access the platform's control system? There was a pause. Possibly. I would need to break into the military network from here. It would be very dangerous. If they catch me, they will know humans have been spying on them for years. Hyun-woo weighed the options. Da-eun had spent 2 years building her cover identity. If she was caught, it would compromise the entire intelligence network. But without her help, the Silent Thunder could not reach its target. Do it, he ordered. Understood, Captain. Give me 5 minutes. While Da-eun worked to sabotage the platforms. Sensors, the Silent Thunder waited in the shadow of a large asteroid. The crew watched their instruments and prayed that their agent could disable the quantum scanner in time. Agent Silver to Silent Thunder, came the whispered transmission. Platform sensors will go offline in 30 seconds. You will have a 3-minute window before they notice the malfunction. Acknowledged. Beginning final approach to the platform. The Silent Thunder moved out from behind the asteroid. They approached the weapons platform directly, counting on their agent to keep them invisible. The quantum resonance scanner shut down just as they entered its detection range. The platform's other sensors swept past them without finding anything unusual. They were through the second ring. Entering the inner system, Sora announced. Distance to Nexus Prime is now 50,000 kilometers. Ahead lay the third and final ring of defenses. These were the most powerful weapons in Valerian space. No enemy had ever gotten close enough. to test them. But the Silent Thunder was not just any enemy ship. It carried the hopes and determination of an entire species. The impossible mission continued. Technician Korvac was having a boring day. He sat at his control station in the Orbital Defense Center, watching the same readings he had watched for the past 5 years. Nothing ever changed. Nothing ever happened. The Valerian Defense Network ran like a perfect machine. Automated systems monitored every cubic meter of space around Nexus Prime. Sensors swept continuously, looking for threats that never came. Korvac's job was to perform routine maintenance scans. Every few hours, he checked to make sure all systems were working properly. It was simple work that required no thinking. He started the hourly gravitational resonance check. This scan looked for objects that might be hidden from normal sensors. It could detect the gravity signature of cloaked ships or invisible asteroids. The scan began as usual. Korvac expected to see the same empty readings he had seen thousands of times before. Instead, he saw something that made his 4 eyes widen with shock. There was a gravitational anomaly in high orbit around Nexus Prime. Korvac stared at his screen. The anomaly was small, but it was definitely there. Something with mass was in orbit around the capital world. Something that was not supposed to exist. He ran the scan again. The same result appeared. There was an object approximately 200 meters long in a stable orbit above the planet. But his optical sensors showed nothing there. His electromagnetic scanners detected no energy signatures. "Supervisor Colron," Korvac called. "I need you to look at this." Supervisor Colron was an old Valerian who had worked in the Defense Center for 30 years. He had seen every type of sensor malfunction and equipment failure. He approached Korvac's station with calm confidence. "What is the problem, technician?" Colron asked. "I am detecting a gravitational anomaly in high orbit, but all other sensors show normal readings. Could this be a system malfunction?" Colron looked at the display. His expression changed from boredom to concern. "Run a full-spectrum scan of that orbital zone." Korvac worked at his controls. Multiple sensor systems focused on the anomaly. Gravitational detectors, electromagnetic scanners, particle beam sensors, and quantum field analyzers all examined the same spot in space. The results were impossible. There was definitely something there, but it was invisible to most detection. "Methods, sir," Korvac said quietly. "This looks like a cloaked vessel." Colron's scales turned pale. In 30 years of service, he had never seen readings like these. "Alert Defense Coordinator Morgeth immediately, and run a historical scan to see how long this anomaly has been there." While Korvac worked frantically at his station, Colron tried to stay calm. There had to be a reasonable explanation. Perhaps it was a new type of space debris. Maybe it was some kind of natural phenomenon. But deep down, he knew the truth. An enemy ship was in orbit around Nexus Prime. The historical scan produced results that made everyone's blood run cold. The anomaly had been there for 6 hours and 17 minutes. An unidentified vessel had been orbiting the Valerian capital world for over 6 hours without anyone noticing. Defense Coordinator Morgeth arrived at the station within minutes. The tall, gray alien studied the sensor readings with growing alarm. "How is this possible?" Morgeth demanded. "Our defense network is the most advanced in the galaxy. Nothing can penetrate our sensor grid without being detected." Korvac showed him the scan results. "Sir, the object is using some kind of advanced cloaking technology. It bends light around itself and absorbs most electromagnetic radiation, only The gravitational resonance scanner can detect it. What type of ship could have cloaking technology that advanced? Morgeth asked. Supervisor Colran checked the intelligence databases. Sir, our records show that several species have experimented with cloaking devices, but none of them have achieved anything close to this level of sophistication. Morgeth's mind raced through the possibilities. The Korthak rebellion had been crushed decades ago, and they never had advanced technology. The Zenith Commonwealth had surrendered without developing new weapons. The warrior clans of Drakmor used brute force, not stealth. Then a terrible thought occurred to him. Could this be a human vessel? Colran looked surprised. Humans, sir. Our intelligence reports indicate they have very primitive technology. They have only been spacefaring for 2 centuries. Check the files anyway, Morgeth ordered. While Colran searched the databases, Morgeth contacted Grand Admiral Vexthor. The Admiral was in his private quarters, reviewing reports and enjoying his evening meal. Admiral, we have a situation, Morgeth said carefully. There appears to be an unidentified cloaked vessel in orbit around Nexus Prime. There was a long pause. That is impossible, Coordinator. Our defenses would have detected any approaching ship long before it reached orbital distance. Nevertheless, sir, we have clear gravitational readings indicating a vessel approximately 200 meters in length. It has been in stable orbit for over 6 hours. Vexthor's voice became cold and dangerous. I will be in the command center in 5 minutes. Have complete scan data ready for my review. The command center erupted in activity. Technicians ran additional scans. Officers checked and rechecked the sensor readings. Everyone hoped to find some explanation that did not involve an enemy ship penetrating the most secure space in the galaxy. But the evidence was undeniable. Something was out there. Grand Admiral Vexthor arrived in the command center like a force of nature. His 12-foot frame dominated the room. His yellow eyes blazed with anger and disbelief. "Show me," he commanded. Korvac displayed the sensor readings on the main screen. The gravitational anomaly appeared as a bright dot against the darkness of space. It was small, but it was real. Have you identified the type of vessel? Vexthor asked. No, sir, Morgeth replied. The cloaking technology is unlike anything in our databases. We cannot determine its origin or capabilities. Vexthor studied the readings for several minutes. His military mind considered every possibility. Finally, he reached a conclusion that chilled everyone in the room. This is not a reconnaissance probe or a spy satellite, he said slowly. The mass readings indicate a manned vessel. Someone has placed a warship in orbit around our capital, world. The command center fell silent. Officers looked at each other with fear and confusion. How could anyone penetrate their defenses? How could this be happening? Sir, said Communications Officer Zilrak. Should we attempt to contact the vessel? Absolutely not, Vexthor snapped. First, we need to determine how many ships are out there. Run gravitational scans of the entire system. Check every orbital zone, every approach route, every possible hiding place. The search began immediately. Every sensor in the Nexus Prime system focused on finding additional gravitational anomalies. The results came in quickly. There was only one ship. A single enemy vessel had somehow penetrated 3 rings of defenses, avoided hundreds of patrol ships, and reached the most protected world in the galaxy. It had been there for hours without anyone noticing. This is impossible, Morgeth whispered. Vexthor's mind worked furiously. If one enemy ship could reach Nexus Prime undetected, what did that mean for the security of the entire Empire? If their defenses could be bypassed so easily, Were any Valerian worlds truly safe? Sir, Korvac said quietly, the vessel is changing position. Everyone looked at the main screen. The gravitational anomaly was moving. It was no longer hiding in high orbit. Instead, it was descending toward a lower altitude directly above the capital city. Battle stations, Vexthor commanded. All orbital defense platforms online. All patrol ships converge on the anomaly's position. Alarms echoed through the command center. Throughout the system, Valerian warships changed course and raced toward Nexus Prime. Weapons platforms powered up their deadly energy cannons, but they were shooting at a target they could not see, a ship that had already proven it could appear anywhere without warning. Sir, Zilrak reported, the vessel is transmitting a signal. Vexthor hesitated. Part of him wanted to order an immediate attack, but another part of him needed to know who had achieved the impossible. Who had made the Valerian Empire look weak and foolish? Put the transmission on speakers, he ordered. The command center waited in tense silence. Then, through the static and electronic noise, came a voice speaking in perfect galactic standard. Greetings, from the Human Colonial Federation. This is Captain Hyun-Woo Kim of the UES Silent Thunder. We have come to discuss your ultimatum. The silence that followed was deafening. Every officer in the command center stared at the speakers in shock and disbelief. Humans. The primitive mammals they had dismissed as weak and backward had just announced their presence in the heart of Valerian space. Grand Admiral Vexthor felt his world beginning to collapse around him. Captain Hyun-Woo Kim stood on the bridge of the Silent Thunder as the ship decloaked. Around them, space filled with the energy signatures of hundreds of Valerian warships racing toward their position. All systems online, Chief Engineer Taemin Lee reported. We are now visible to every sensor in the system. The timing was perfect. For hours they had remained hidden while orbiting the enemy capital. Now, at the moment of maximum impact, they revealed themselves to the entire Valerian defense network. Communications channel open, said Communications Officer Ye-Jin Han. We are transmitting on all Valerian military frequencies. Hyun-Woo looked at his crew. These brave men and women had accomplished something that would be remembered for centuries. They had penetrated the most secure space in the galaxy and delivered humanity's message to the heart of the enemy empire. Grand Admiral Vexthor, Hyun-Woo said, speaking into the communication system. I am Captain Hyun-Woo Kim of the Human Colonial Federation. We received your ultimatum demanding our surrender. We have come to deliver our response in person. On Na. Nexus Prime, the Valerian Command Center, erupted in chaos. Officers ran between stations, trying to understand how a human ship could possibly be in orbit around their capital world. Grand Admiral Vexthor stared at the main display screen. The gravitational anomaly was now visible as an actual ship. It was smaller than most Valerian vessels, but it had achieved something that no enemy in 3 centuries had managed. How many ships are with you? Vexthor demanded. Just one, Hyun-Woo replied calmly. The Silent Thunder is alone. We came here not to fight, but to talk. Defense Coordinator Morgeth could not believe what he was hearing. A single human ship penetrated our entire defense network? Yes, Hyun-Woo said. We studied your defenses for several years. We found weaknesses that you did not know existed. But we are not here to attack. We are here to demonstrate a point. Vexthor's mind struggled to process the implications. If humans could put one ship in orbit around Nexus Prime, they could put many ships here. If they could bypass Valerian defenses once, they could do it again. What point? he asked through clenched teeth. The point that your ultimatum is meaningless, Hyunwoo replied. You demanded that we surrender our colonies or face destruction. But how can you destroy our worlds when you cannot even protect your own capital? The words hit the Valerian command like physical blows. Every officer in the room understood the truth immediately. Their entire military strategy was based on the assumption that enemy ships could not reach Valerian core worlds. That assumption was now proven wrong. Impossible, Morgeth whispered. Our defense network is perfect. No ship can penetrate 3 rings of automated platforms without being detected. Communications officer Ye-Jin Han spoke up. Diplomatic attaché Woo-Jin Lee is ready to transmit. The sensor logs, Captain. Do it, Hyunwoo ordered. Detailed records began flowing from the Silent Thunder to the Valerian command center. The data showed exactly how the human ship had penetrated each ring of defenses. Every sensor pattern, every blind spot, every moment of vulnerability was documented and transmitted. The Valerian officers watched in stunned silence as their perfect defense network was revealed to be full of holes. The logs showed the human ship slipping past automated platforms, hiding in asteroid fields, and using the movement patterns of patrol ships to avoid detection. This is not possible, Vexthor said, but his voice lacked conviction. Admiral, said Supervisor Colron, the sensor logs are accurate. This ship did exactly what the data shows. They found weaknesses in our defenses that we never knew existed. Intelligence Officer Minho Kang's voice came through the communication system. Admiral Vexthor, we have been studying your empire for many years. We know the patrol schedules of every fleet. We know the sensor patterns of every defense station. We know the communication codes used by your military command. The command center fell silent. The implications were staggering. If humans had such detailed knowledge of Valerian military operations, how much else did they know? Furthermore, Hyunwoo continued, we are not the only human ship in Valerian space today. Vexthor felt his blood turn to ice. What do you mean? 12. Human ships launched simultaneously for this mission. The Silent Thunder was assigned to deliver our message to your capital. The other 11 ships had different targets. The Admiral's claws dug into the metal of his command console. What targets? Major military installations throughout your empire. Fleet bases, weapons factories, training centers. Each ship carried the same message we are delivering to you now. Panic spread through the Valerian command center. Officers began frantically contacting military bases throughout the Empire. If humans could reach Nexus Prime undetected, they could reach anywhere. This is a trick, Morgeth said desperately. Humans do not have the technology for such an operation. Diplomatic attaché Woo-Jin Lee spoke from the Silent Thunder. Admiral, we are transmitting confirmation signals from all 12 mission ships. Each vessel has successfully reached its target and delivered the same message. The confirmation signals began arriving on Valerian communication networks. Reports came in from shocked base commanders throughout the Empire. Human ships had appeared at a dozen critical military installations. All had remained undetected until they chose to reveal themselves. Vexthor realized that everything he believed about human capabilities was wrong. These were not primitive mammals with crude technology. They were a sophisticated enemy that had been planning this operation for years. What do you want? He asked finally. We want you to withdraw your ultimatum, Hyunwoo replied. We want formal recognition that humanity is not a weak species that can be intimidated. We want to establish diplomatic relations based on mutual respect. And if we refuse? then you will discover what happens when humans stop being diplomatic and start being creative with military tactics. The threat was clear but not specific. The Valerian admiral could imagine dozens of ways that human stealth technology could be used for more aggressive purposes. Agent Da Yun-shin watched the exchange from her position in the maintenance areas of the command tower. After 2 years of careful work, she could finally reveal her true nature. Her mission was nearly complete. She activated a hidden transmitter and spoke quietly. All Valerian forces. This is Agent Da Yun-shin of Human Colonial Intelligence. I have been living on Nexus Prime for 2 years, gathering information and preparing for this day. The revelation sent another shock through the command center. The Valerians realized that humans had not only penetrated their space defenses, but had also placed agents throughout their territory. How many human agents are in our empire? Vexthor asked. Enough, Daun replied. We have been watching you, learning from you, and preparing for the day when you would threaten our people. The admiral looked around the command center. His officers stared back at him with fear and confusion. The foundation of Valerian military power had been shattered in a single day. You have made your point, Vexthor said finally. But this does not end here. The Valerian Empire does not surrender to threats. We are not asking you to surrender, Hyun-woo replied. We are asking you to reconsider. Your ultimatum assumed that humans were weak and helpless. Today we have proven otherwise. What happens now? The admiral asked. Now we leave. Our message has been delivered. Your response is up to you. The Silent Thunder began to move away from Nexus Prime. As it departed, it transmitted one final message to every communication network in the Valerian Empire. To all peoples of the galaxy, the message began. Today, humanity has demonstrated that no empire is invincible. No defenses are perfect. No species has the right to threaten others with extinction. We offer our friendship to those who want peace, and our determination to those who choose war. As the human ship disappeared back into the darkness of space, the Valerian Empire faced a new reality. They were no longer the undisputed masters of the galaxy. Somewhere in the darkness, humanity was watching and waiting, and the balance of power had changed forever. 3 days after the Silent Thunder departed from Nexus Prime, the Valerian Empire was in chaos. Emergency meetings took place on every major world. Military commanders demanded explanations. Political leaders asked questions that had no good answers. Grand Admiral Vexthor stood before the High Council of the Valerian Empire. The council chamber was a massive dome filled with representatives from all 12 member species. For 3 centuries, this chamber had been the center of galactic power. Today, that power felt fragile and uncertain. Explain to us, demanded Councillor Weltar, how a single enemy ship reached our capital world without being detected by our defense network. Vexthor's scales had lost their luster. The proud admiral who had boasted of Valerian strength now looked old and tired. The humans used advanced cloaking technology combined with detailed intelligence about our defensive patterns. How detailed? Asked Councillor Morton from the warrior clans of Drakmor. They knew our patrol schedules, sensor sweep patterns, and communication codes. They had agents living on our worlds for years, studying our operations and finding weaknesses we did not know existed. The council chamber buzzed with worried conversations. Representatives whispered to each other in dozens of alien languages. The revelation that human spies had infiltrated Valerian space was almost as shocking as the successful attack. What is being done to find these agents? Councillor Weltar asked. Defense Coordinator Morgeth stepped forward. We have begun security. Sweeps on all major worlds, but the problem is vast. If humans have been placing agents for years, they could be anywhere. How many agents are we talking about? Demanded Counselor Zexaville from the Korthak systems. We do not know, Morgeth admitted. The human who revealed herself on Nexus Prime had been there for 2 years. She worked as a maintenance technician with access to sensitive areas. If there are others like her throughout the Empire, the security implications are enormous. The council members looked at each other with growing alarm. The Valerian Empire controlled hundreds of worlds with billions of citizens. Searching for hidden human agents would require enormous resources and time. Meanwhile, in human space, Captain Hyunwoo Kim and his crew were returning home as heroes. The Silent Thunder had completed the most daring mission in human history, but their success was creating problems as well as opportunities. Director In-Soo Kwon of Human Colonial Intelligence waited for them at the secret base on Titan. He had spent the past 3 days managing the political fallout from the mission. Captain, In-Soo said as Hyunwoo entered the briefing room, congratulations on a successful operation. However, we now have a new set of challenges to deal with. Hyunwoo sat down with his senior officers. Navigator Sora Park, Chief Engineer, Taemin Lee, and Weapons Officer Ji-Hai Choi had all played crucial roles in the mission's success. What kind of challenges? Hyunwoo asked. The other 11 ships completed their missions perfectly, In-Soo replied. Human vessels appeared at major Valerian installations throughout their empire. The psychological impact has been enormous. Intelligence Officer Min-Ho Kong nodded. Sir, we are receiving communication intercepts from across Valerian space. Their military commanders are demanding massive increases in defense spending. Some are calling for immediate attacks on human colonies before we can launch more operations. But there are positive developments as well, In-Soo continued. Several non-Valerian species have contacted us through secret channels. They want to discuss possible alliances. Communications Officer Yejin Han looked surprised. Species that are part of the Valerian Empire want to ally with us? Species that were conquered by the Valerian Empire, In-Soo corrected. The Zenith Commonwealth, the Korthak systems, even some of the smaller client species. They see our demonstration as proof that the Valerians can be challenged. Captain Hyunwoo understood the implications. They want us to help them rebel against Valerian rule. Exactly. And that creates a dilemma for us. Do we support these rebellions and risk a galaxy-wide war? Or do we try to negotiate a peaceful solution with the Valerians? The question was complex and dangerous. Human leaders were meeting around the clock to decide their next move. On Nexus Prime, Grand Admiral Vexthor faced similar difficult choices. The Valerian military was demanding immediate action against human worlds. Some commanders wanted to launch massive attacks to demonstrate that the Empire was still strong. But other voices counseled caution. If humans could penetrate Valerian defenses so easily, what would happen if the Empire provoked them into full-scale war? Admiral, said Defense Coordinator Morgeth, our intelligence analysts have completed their assessment of human capabilities. Vexthor reviewed the report with growing concern. Human technology was more advanced than anyone had realized. Their ships were faster and more maneuverable than Valerian vessels. Their weapons, while not as powerful, were far more accurate. Most importantly, humans had demonstrated superior tactical thinking. They found creative solutions to seemingly impossible problems. They used psychological warfare as effectively as physical weapons. Recommendations? Vexthor asked. The analysts suggest that a direct military confrontation with humanity would be extremely costly. Even if we eventually won, the Empire would be severely weakened. The Admiral studied star charts showing the locations of human colonies. A few months ago, these small blue dots had seemed insignificant. Now they represented a threat to the stability of the entire galaxy. Agent Da-Un Shin was no longer hiding her identity. After revealing herself during the Silent Thunder's mission, she had been extracted to a safe location. But her work on Nexus Prime had provided valuable intelligence about Valerian thinking. "The Empire is genuinely frightened," she reported to Insu Quan during a secure communication. "Their confidence has been shattered. Military leaders are arguing among themselves about how to respond." "Are they likely to attack human worlds directly?" Insu asked. "Some want to. But the smarter ones realize that they no longer understand human capabilities. They are afraid of what other surprises we might have prepared." This fear was exactly what human planners had hoped to achieve. The mission was not designed to start a war, but to prevent one. By demonstrating that human colonies could not be easily conquered, they hoped to force the Valerians to negotiate rather than fight. 2 weeks after the mission, the strategy appeared to be working. The Valerian High Council voted to withdraw their ultimatum to humanity. They also agreed to begin formal diplomatic negotiations. The announcement sent shockwaves throughout the galaxy. For the first time in 3 centuries, the Valerian Empire had backed down from a threat. Species that had lived under Valerian rule began to whisper about the possibility of freedom. But the victory came with a price. Human colonies now faced the constant possibility of attack by Valerian forces. The Empire might have withdrawn their ultimatum, but they had not forgotten the humiliation. Director Insu Quan understood that this was just the beginning. "We have proven that humans cannot be ignored," he told his intelligence staff. "But we have also made enemies of the most powerful empire in the galaxy." "What do we do now?" asked analyst Bo-Ram Jung. "We prepare for whatever comes next. The Valerians will not stay frightened forever. Eventually, they will develop countermeasures for our technology. When that happens, we need to be ready with new innovations." The galaxy had changed. The Valerian Empire was no longer invincible. Humanity was no longer helpless. The balance of power had shifted, and no one knew what would happen next. In space stations and colonies throughout human territory, people celebrated the news that their homes were safe. But military planners worked around the clock, designing new ships and new strategies for the challenges ahead. The age of human expansion had begun. Where it would lead, no one could predict. Captain Hyun-Woo Kim looked out at the stars from his quarters aboard the Silent Thunder. Somewhere among those distant lights were worlds full of beings who now knew that humanity existed and could not be easily conquered. The mission was complete, but the real work was just beginning. Humanity had announced its presence to the galaxy. Now they had to prove they deserved their place among the stars. The future was uncertain, but it belonged to those brave enough to seize it, and humans had never lacked courage. 6 months after the Silent Thunder's historic mission, the galaxy looked very different. The diplomatic meeting between humans and Valerians had been scheduled to take place on the neutral world of Kepler Station. But as Captain Hyun-Woo Kim prepared for the journey, he received unexpected news. "Captain," said Communications Officer Ye Jin Han, "we are receiving transmissions from 17 different species. They all want to attend the diplomatic conference." Hyun-Woo studied the list of species that had contacted the Human Colonial Federation. Most of them were former enemies or subjects of the Valerian Empire. The Zenith Commonwealth, the Korthak Rebellion survivors, the Drakmor warrior clans, and many smaller civilizations. "What do they want?" he asked. Director In-Su Kwan answered, from the secure communication link. "They want to form an alliance with humanity. The Silent Thunder's mission proved that the Valerian Empire can be challenged. Now these species see an opportunity to gain their freedom." The implications were enormous. What had started as a simple diplomatic message had grown into a potential galaxy-wide rebellion against Valerian rule. Meanwhile, on Nexus Prime, Grand Admiral Vexthor faced his own crisis. Intelligence reports showed that 17 species were moving military assets toward the neutral meeting zone. What was supposed to be a quiet diplomatic discussion was turning into something much larger. "Admiral," said Defense Coordinator Morgeth, "should we cancel the meeting? This looks like a trap." Vexthor studied the tactical displays. Fleets from across the galaxy were converging on Kepler Station. Some were openly hostile to Valerian interests. Others claimed to be neutral observers. "No," he decided. "If we cancel now, we look weak and afraid. The entire galaxy will see that the Valerian Empire runs from challenges. But, sir, if all these species form an alliance against us, we could face a war on dozens of fronts simultaneously." "Then we must make sure that alliance never forms," Vexthor replied grimly. Agent Da-Un Shin had been reassigned from her deep cover mission to diplomatic intelligence. She now worked openly as a human representative, using her knowledge of Valerian culture to help prepare for the negotiations. "The Valerians are in a difficult position," she explained to the human diplomatic team. "They cannot appear weak, but they also cannot afford a galaxy-wide war. Their strategy will be to divide the potential alliance before it can form." Captain Hyunwoo nodded. The Silent Thunder would escort the human diplomatic ship to Kepler Station. But his role had expanded beyond simple transportation. He was now the symbol of human capability and determination. "What about the other species?" asked diplomatic attaché Woo Jin Lee. "Can we trust them to work together?" Da-Un shook her head. "Many of these species have been enemies of each other for centuries. The Zenith Commonwealth and the Korthak systems fought a bitter war before the Valerians conquered them both. The Drakmor clans have raided other species for generations. So the alliance might fall apart on its own?" Hyunwoo asked. "That is what the Valerians are counting on. They will try to remind each species of old grudges and ancient conflicts. If they succeed, the alliance will collapse before it begins." The journey to Kepler Station took 2 weeks. Along the way, the human fleet encountered ships from other species heading to the same destination. Some were friendly and sent greetings. Others maintained suspicious silence. Navigator Sora Park tracked the movement of all ships in the area. "Captain, I count over 300 vessels from 22 different species. This is the largest gathering of ships in galactic history." Kepler Station had been built centuries ago as a neutral trading post. It belonged to no single species and was governed by an ancient treaty that guaranteed safe passage to all visitors. The station's administrators were overwhelmed by the number of ships requesting docking space. "This is Station Commander Velkos," came the transmission as the human fleet approached. "Welcome to Kepler Station. Please be advised that we have limited docking facilities and unprecedented security concerns." Captain Hyunwoo responded. "This is Captain Kim of the Human Colonial Federation. We understand the challenges you are facing. Our diplomatic team will cooperate fully with station security. The Silent Thunder docked at berth 47. Around them, the massive station buzzed with activity. Beings from across the galaxy moved through the corridors, many seeing other species for the first time in their lives. The main conference hall had been expanded to accommodate representatives from over 20 species. The seating arrangement alone had taken days to plan, as many species had complex cultural requirements about position and status. Grand Admiral Vexthor arrived with a fleet of 50 Valerian warships. His entrance was designed to demonstrate imperial power and intimidate the smaller species. The massive Valerian vessels dwarfed most other ships at the station, but the psychological impact was not what Vexthor expected. Instead of showing fear, the other species seemed to draw strength from each other's presence. For the first time in centuries, they were not facing the Valerian Empire alone. The opening ceremony was tense but formal. Each species presented their credentials and stated their reasons for attending. The humans spoke last, with diplomatic attaché Wu Jin Li delivering their message. The Human Colonial Federation comes here seeking peace and mutual respect, he said. 6 months ago, we proved that no empire is invincible. Today, we offer our friendship to all species that choose cooperation over conquest. The words were carefully chosen. Without directly challenging Valerian authority, the humans offered an alternative to imperial rule. Vexthor responded with equal care. The Valerian Empire has brought order and stability to the galaxy for 3 centuries. We seek to continue that tradition through diplomatic means rather than military force. Behind the formal language, both sides understood the real message. The humans were offering to lead a galactic alliance. The Valerians were threatening war if that alliance formed. The real negotiations began in smaller groups. Representatives from different species met privately to discuss their concerns and interests. The humans found themselves at the center of multiple conversations. "We need your stealth technology," said General Torak of the Korthak systems. "With invisible ships, we can strike at Valerian installations before they can respond." Captain, Hyunwoo was careful with his response. "Technology sharing requires trust and common goals. What are your intentions if you gain access to advanced weapons?" "To free our people from Valerian oppression," the general replied. "They destroyed our worlds and enslaved our population. We want justice." Similar conversations took place with other species. Each had grievances against the Valerian Empire. Each wanted human technology and support for their cause. But Wu Jin Li noticed something troubling in these private meetings. While all the species opposed Valerian rule, they had very different ideas about what should replace it. The Zenith. "Commonwealth wants to recreate their old trade empire," he reported to Hyunwoo. "The Korthak systems want military revenge against their conquerors. The Drakmor clans want to return to their raiding lifestyle." "So if the Valerian Empire falls, these species might immediately start fighting each other?" Hyunwoo asked. "Very likely. And humans would be caught in the middle of a galaxy-wide civil war." This was the dilemma that human leaders had feared. Destroying the Valerian Empire might create more problems than it solved. Agent Da-Yun Shin attended the Valerian delegation's private meetings using hidden listening devices. The intelligence she gathered was disturbing. "They are planning to offer each species exactly what they want," she reported. "The Zenith Commonwealth will get new trade rights. The Korthak systems will get revenge against their ancient enemies. The Drakmor clans will get raiding licenses." Divide and conquer, Hyunwoo realized. They are trying to break up the alliance by giving each species reasons to fight the others instead of fighting the Empire. The strategy was clever and might work. Many species had bitter histories with each other. If the Valerians could remind them of old conflicts, the potential alliance would collapse. On the third day of negotiations, the crisis came to a head. A dispute broke out between the Zenith Commonwealth and the Korthak systems over mining rights in a contested star system. Within hours, both sides were threatening military action. "This is exactly what the Valerians wanted," Wu Jinli said, urgently to Hyunwoo. "If these two species start fighting, it will prove that the alliance cannot work." The other species watched nervously as Zenith and Korthak representatives shouted accusations at each other. Ancient grievances and fresh insults filled the conference hall with tension. Then Captain Hyunwoo stood up. "I request permission to address the assembly," he said formally. The hall fell quiet. All eyes turned to the human who had achieved the impossible by reaching Nexus Prime undetected. "6 months ago, my ship carried a message to the Valerian capital," Hyunwoo began. "That message was simple. Humanity will not be intimidated or conquered. We will defend ourselves and our allies." He looked around the room at representatives from dozens of species. "Today I bring a new message. The age of empires built on fear and conquest is ending. The future belongs to those who choose cooperation over domination." He paused and looked directly at the Zenith and Korthak representatives. "You can spend the next century fighting each,